Namaste yogis, and welcome back to the Yoga and Self-Mastery Summit. I'm Dana Saray, co-founder of Hanuman Academy, and I'm so excited to welcome Anandra George here with me today. Anandra is an internationally respected mantra teacher and sacred musician. She is a pioneer in the global yoga community, reintroducing the ancient practice of sound as a fundamental practice. And she created the world's first yoga teacher training that is entirely based on the transformational power of sound. So Anandra, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
It's a pleasure and an honor.
So I am so excited about this topic because I love to sing and I love mantra and I love the power of sound. And I really felt it in my own life, the transformational and healing power of sound. And I'd love to hear from you about that. Like, what is that transformational power of sound that you teach?
Well, first of all, just every word that's come out of your mouth lets me know already that we're sisters in this path. And I know that also we're not alone. And feeling this magnificent, loving energy that is behind the chants that we do. I spend a lot of time thinking about what is this transformation, like why and how and what's required and how do we set it up so that it can happen consistently and, you know, the most intimate and deep levels of transformation possible. So I could talk about that for hours, really. But I would say, in essence, you know, all of the world's mystical traditions use sound as the pathway in to that spacious silence and fullness within the heart that is the very essence of our own being. And it is beyond the words and it's beyond the sounds that take us there. And so I think that in the practices of the yoga of sound, you know, we use them as a pathway in. And the spaciousness in those pauses and in the echoes, like between the mantra repetition, that's when, you know, that's when everything, when it goes beyond words and when it resounds. And so that is so transformational, especially for those of us living in the modern world, because the moments of true and deep and intimate connection with the fullness that is the all are so really rare in our busy lives. And so just to have like a nanosecond of that reorients your entire life. Because once you get 1 nanosecond of that, you're hooked, you know, like, you know, and there's a part of us that knows that that's the good stuff, you know, that that's what we're seeking out there. And then through the yoga of sound, we rediscover and retrain ourselves to find it consistently in here.
So it's a direct pathway into the heart, into the stillness, into the spaciousness. Yeah.
Yeah, because the soul is sound. you know, when we pass out of this meat suit and before we get the next one, the part of us that continues, you know, that resides in the ether, Akash, you know, this all Akash, either they're all words for sound, by the way, you know, the sum total of our thoughts, our consciousness is what we take with us. Yeah. You know, so it's who we are. It's the basis of it's also not just on a personal level, but on a universal level. Sound is a substratum of existence itself, which the yogis have been saying for thousands of years, and also now, you know, some quantum physicists are mentioning the fact that things might just possibly be tiny vibrating strings. You know,
sound, vibration. That's like so juicy for me. I love it when we see that science is now beginning to say what the mystics have said for so long. And that meeting, I feel like that's really important for us modern, you know, people, yogis. There's a part of my brain, my mind, I know, that really loves to hear about that science, that sort of like it's proving these things that we embody and we experience so deeply, but then to have like that other part of the mind kind of satiated with some facts. Can you give us like a couple more of those sorts of scientific?
Well, I really wouldn't want to pretend to be a scientist in the conventional sense. But I just will affirm and agree that it is gratifying to read books like Brian Greene's String Theory and try to get my science brain wrapped around the terminology. But it's also interesting, just kind of as an adjunct point to that we feel so gratified by external validation of our internal experience. And I think that says volumes about our general orientation.
Right.
And really the difference between us and yogis. Because yogis value their inner experience over external validation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah. Food for thought.
We'll work on that, won't we?
We'll work on that one. Yeah. I think as a global, you know, tribe, we're hopefully moving towards that again, of that really validation of the internal, and
I think so.
Trusting our internal experience.
Yeah.
Trusting that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mantras. So, you know, sound, vibration in general is so powerful. And then let's talk about why mantra in particular is so powerful.
Well, let me just tie that into what we were just speaking about in terms of really validating our inner experience and trusting our inner experience. One of the things that makes it so difficult for us living in the modern world with sensory stimulation, information coming at us at exponentially higher volumes than, you know, our yogi friends sitting in the Himalayas just hanging out with the trees and the birds and the rocks, you know, and the same ones every day for that matter, you know. So we have to have tools for mentally processing and digesting the massive volume of information that we are interacting with. And we can use mantra, regular mantra japa, the repetition of these sacred syllables that remind us of our true nature, to properly digest the sensory information.
Wow.
So that we can learn to hear the voice that's in our heart. Because I think a lot of times we're in reactive mode, and the mind is by nature reactive to the external senses. So we are, spinning around, and then we sometimes confuse our intuition for more kind of like reactive chatter in our heads. So using mantra to kind of just change the channel, really, and provide a harmonious environment for us to experience the silence. And from that silence, maybe a voice or a message or an inspiration that is true intuition can come. And when it's when it's true intuition, you'll know, right? Your eyes get blinded with light, your heart bursts open, and every cell in your body is saying, yes, this is truth.
I just got some nice shivers from that one. Yes, truth affirmed.
Yeah. But I've experienced myself when I look around, I look around the world and I see people just running, and not just physically, but in their minds, this story and that story and this story and that story. And it's quite an obstacle to peace, to the simple abundance of peace that is your true nature. So the word mantra comes from two parts, manas, and some say trana or trayate. It means manas is that ordinary mind that's reacting to the senses, and trana or trayate means to protect or to set free. So a mantra is that which sets or protects free. A mantra is that which protects from or sets free from the ordinary mind.
Yeah. And, I was in Barnes & Noble yesterday with my son, and I always go peruse the yoga section or the spiritual growth section. And I pulled off a book about, it said something mantras, and I opened it up, and it was all English mantras, English sort of affirmations. And I thought that was really interesting. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in terms of, we have the mantras of Sanskrit, of the yoga tradition. And then we have a lot of people developing mantras, in English or other languages. And I'd love to hear your view on that. And what is the power of Sanskrit mantra?
Oh, that's my pet subject. It's my favorite. Well, one of my many favorite things. So first of all, any thought that's better than the crap that is in there, from your history or whatever, is better than nothing. You can change your mind. You can use an English affirmation or an Arabic affirmation. It doesn't matter. Something is going to be better. But the fascinating thing about Sanskrit, and also the reason that I am passionate about awakening a visceral knowledge of the alphabet of Sanskrit in people who come and work with me, is that in Sanskrit, the effect of the sound is the meaning. So when you say the sound precisely, the resonance of that sound creates a particular effect in your energy body, in your chakras, if you get into that, and in your experience. So every vowel and every consonant has a particular resonance, and it is those resonances that build the creative experience itself. So like, for example, in the tantric architecture of the Sanskrit alphabet, we have the vowel sound, different vowel sounds. So if you were to say the vowel sound, you could feel a certain effect. And if you were to say the vowel sound, it's a very different effect. Mm-hmm. So the ah sound, usually people report experiencing relaxation and peace at the same time that they feel expanded. Mm-hmm. And that makes sense because the ah sound is chit shakti. It's the power of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And when people say the E sound, usually they have to stop after a little while because it's so activating and penetrating and almost kind of irritating or agitating. Mm. And that makes sense too, because it's Ichha Shakti, the power of divine will, like the divine desire to get a move on, to manifest, to create. Mm. So all of the 50 letters, the 16 vowels, 25 consonants, 4 sibilants, 4 semivowels, and a little special character at the end, have their own personality and their own creative power. So when you speak the mantra, you are vibrating a particular energetic that's not just a meaning out there that you're reaching for, but the actual resonance of the sound is the meaning. Mm. So when you use Sanskrit mantras, it's a straight shot. It's past the mind. Mm-hmm. And it's purely working with the vibratory effects, the creative vibratory effects of sound itself. Mm. So it's so fun. Mm. And it also just makes me sick that so few people, especially in the West, are tuned into it. Mm. It's such a lost opportunity to be chanting and to not understand. I mean, it makes me want to cry. Mm. It's such a lost opportunity that people are chanting mantras and not getting the benefit of the precise enunciation. I need a lot of empathy for that because I feel so passionate about it. It's like, it would be like if everybody was really into playing guitar, you know, and people were teaching guitar songs, they were teaching guitar trainings, they were publicly performing guitar, and they were making albums about guitar, but no one had taught anybody how to tune the thing first. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's that basic and also that serious of an error, you know.
So what you're saying is that there's a lot of mantra happening in the West, or, you know, all over the world, that it's not being pronounced correctly, and therefore people aren't really getting the full benefit of the mantras.
Yeah, it's mushy. It's mushy. So you can put all your love and all your heart into the singing, but until you get the structure clearly, it's not going to. I mean, you're not tapping the full potential.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, what have you noticed in your own life in terms of when you did tap into that potential? What did you notice? What was the difference?
So yeah, I had been chanting mantras for about 13 years, almost daily. I mean, I used to get up at 3, 4 in the morning and do these extensive fire pujas for years and years and years. I'd spent time in India. I had even taken a mantra teacher training course and was teaching mantra workshops. Yeah, check that out. And then one of my students asked me a question about the Sanskrit pronunciation. I didn't even know what his question meant. And I was like, of course I admitted I didn't know. And then I went, oh crap, I need to go back to the square one here.
Wow.
And I did. And in the course of a couple of years of study of Sanskrit sound, I'm not a scholar. I have a very basic grasp of grammar. I went into the sound of the letters and meditated on the sound and researched different books and perspectives on the sound. And in that time period, the mantras came alive. Like the sound had a fire and a brilliance and a clarity to it that was incomparable. And what has happened now over time is that now I have so much more of an intimate relationship with the subtle forms of the names of God that are the mantras. Mm-hmm. So those subtle forms, because the name in Sanskrit literally is the subtle form. Mm-hmm. So when you say Krishna, it's inside you because you are in that sound, which is the subtle, the sukshma rupa, the subtle form, the subtle embodiment of that divine quality of the infinite. Mm-hmm. So it's become this it's almost honestly, Dana, it's almost too blissful to bear. It's a real problem.
Wow.
I wish it was, I'm not joking.
Sounds like a good problem though, if you're going to have one.
If you're going to have 99 problems. Yeah. It's a great problem, but it is honestly a real problem because the intimacy of the connection, it's so alive and it's so massive and it's also so vulnerable because there's nothing. So I'm working with it, I'm in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you talked about the names of God and Krishna, and many yogis I find on the path, or maybe newer yogis, are a little bit afraid maybe of these names or this sort of Hindu energy behind some of these mantras, the Sanskrit, the perceived religious aspect. What would you say about that?
That is another fantastic question that I love to talk about as well. And one of the most interesting things about the Sanskrit is that if you are teaching the pronunciation precisely and guiding people into the mechanical production of the sound, which then vibrates the precise resonance, it becomes an esoteric connection, a mystical connection that is beyond the Hindu religiosity that's kind of been overlaid onto it. So what I often do, I mean, I have many students who are atheists. I have had students from every major world religion, including several Arabs, Muslims, chanting Sanskrit mantras and reporting the very exact effect and meaning of Om Namah Shivaya as you would hear an Indian describe. They had no knowledge of it whatsoever, no previous, conception, but they chanted the mantra and they know what Shiva is. And so, I don't think, because of my intimate relationship with the sounds themselves, I don't think of the names as anything other than like unique qualities of rays of the sun. For me, they're not so much anthropomorphized, like they don't have all the human traits and qualities that I think the Hindu tradition uses to describe concepts that are difficult to describe otherwise. So if I don't know if you're asking this or not, but I'll say if people are out there and they're teaching mantras, or they're wanting to share the essence of, for instance, let's say Lakshmi, you want to share that essence of that, dripping abundance, the electrifying heartfulness that's the, manifestation of the preserver of all life. Just go with their bija mantras. Invite the students into experiencing the sha and the ra and the e and the And if you get people chanting accurately, they'll have their own revelation of what Lakshmi is for them. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be worshiping a goddess on a pink lotus, showering coins. So that's my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, and I liked what you said about, this is my understanding, is that these yogic traditions, this yogic lineage actually really developed kind of first. And then what you said, the Hindu was overlaid on top of the mantra. So it sort of really came in and owned these practices, but there was it's pre-Hinduism, it's pre-religion.
Well, again, I mean, I'm not a historian of yogic practices either. Nor am I a scientist, obviously, but a metaphysical one. But one of my Sanskrit teachers said to me once, he said, if all the books were erased, if all of humanity was wiped off from the earth and we started all over again, the Sanskrit and therefore the mantras would arise again, because they're the sounds of nature. So in that sense, the elemental vibrations of the sounds definitely pre any religious overlay.
Beautiful. Love that.
Isn't that a nice thought?
It is. It's really a nice thought. And it's, it's like primordial. It's like so good. So I think maybe my last question is advice for those who do want to sing and chant more. You want to bring this, maybe the teachers want to bring it more into their classes, or the practitioner just wants to bring it more into their practice. What advice do you have for those of us?
Well, my first encouragement would be to just open your mouth and start singing. Just start doing it, and let it come from your heart. Let it come from your wish that your voice can be a healing presence in the world. And don't be shy. The world needs all of the voices for love and for peace that it can possibly get right now. Always, but maybe right now, maybe right now, more than usual. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, essentially just do it. But for those of us who have taken a lifelong interest or a professional interest or a deep engagement in the practice, it's really time for us to raise the standard bar, and at least to know what we don't know. Like, get some education, tune your instrument. There are a lot of resources out there to support you to communicate the respect for the tradition that it deserves.
And you offer teacher training based entirely on the yoga of sound. So Anandra is an incredible support for this endeavor to deepen into mantra and the practice of the yoga of sound. Yeah.
And I did that. I put that together because it's what I would have wanted 20 years ago. I mean, if I had had what I'm offering 20 years ago, man, I would have saved myself a lot of time. I would have been, it would have been, life would have been very different. Let's just say that. And so I offer the teacher training, which is right now the most in-depth offering that I have in collaboration with a growing team of Heart of Sound co-teachers and assistants. And we're growing up a team to go out there in the world, because I can't do it all. And then and we also offer a lot of online groups and courses and a bunch of free stuff on my website. So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
And what is your website?
Sacred Sound.
And what is your website? Will you just say the URL?
Yeah, my main website is truefreedomcoaching.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your passion and magic and wisdom with us here in the Yoga and Self-Mastery Summit for Hanuman Academy. We are truly so grateful to have you, Anandra. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. It was a pleasure.
Namaste.
Namaste.